Hello there, I hope everyone's safe and well. Today, I'd quite like to share an assembly with you that goes along with our jigsaw topic of dreams and goals. So I'm going to share a screen with you now, hopefully. Now for this assembly, you might want to have a pen and paper just to jot down some ideas as you're going through the assembly with me. And if you start the assembly by typing in this web address and maybe watching this little YouTube clip, you'll see that it starts with a clip all about the Olympics. And you'll see lots of people in different events in the Olympics that really showed determination. I think you'll see a gymnast that had an injury and carried on regardless of her injury. And you'll see other Olympic heroes that did well. So take a look at that. Maybe you want to pause the video here now, have a look at that clip, and then come back and carry on with today's assembly. I'm hoping that you all got to see the clip. If you didn't, some of you might have remembered in the past, we've looked at some people that showed resilience in their races, in gymnastics, in swimming. You could remind yourself by having a look on YouTube. So what I'm going to do now, and it's what we do often in our jigsaw assemblies, I'm going to hit the chime. As I hit the chime, I want you to listen carefully for the note. And when you think the note finishes, then we will start with the next slide. As that note is going, think, clear your mind, see what, if you can clear your mind, ready for today's next slide. Maybe now take a deep breath, breathe in and breathe out. Okay, let's have a think of what we're going to talk about today. So I'm going to ask you to think about two questions, and you can have your ideas in your mind if you want to. You might want to jot them down. Well, there's two things that I'd like you to have a think about. Think about if you've ever been in any kind of race, maybe a running race, a swimming race, any kind of race, a race with your friends in the playground. And I want you to think about two things. How do you feel at the start of a race? And how do you feel at the end of a race? So jot down some feelings that you recognize or that you remember if you've been in that position. How do you feel at the start of a race? How do you feel at the end of a race? I want to pause the video and jot your ideas down, and then we'll move on to the next slide. Here's some of the ideas that you might have thought about. So I've put some feelings down. You might have put some of these down. You might have some of your own. So at the start of a race, you might feel excited. You might feel a little bit nervous. You might feel apprehensive about taking part. You might feel very focused, ready for the job ahead. You might feel very determined. You might feel driven. You've got a lot of drive that you want to win that race. You might have butterflies. You might feel hopeful. So those are some of the words that I thought of. I'm sure you thought of many others. Now, how about at the end of a race? I've thought that sometimes you might feel relieved. You might feel joyous that you've completed it, especially if you're the winner. You might feel disappointed if you didn't do as well as you thought you could. You might feel proud of yourself. You might feel a bit upset. You might feel challenged. And you might feel just emotional overall. So there's lots of feelings that I've written here, and you might have some of your own that aren't mentioned here. Now, think of other times when you've had experience of these feelings. So when else have you felt excited, nervous, relieved, joyous? Take a moment to think about those times. Maybe jot a couple down, have a think about them. Okay, I hope that you were able to think of some. Now, you should know by now that our jigsaw topic for this half term is dreams and goals. It's all about the dreams and goals, and many of you have made your New Year's resolutions or thought about them. But this half term in our PHSE jigsaw, we'll be looking at dreams and goals as well. Thinking about all the things that we've just mentioned, what do you think an athlete does need to do to be successful? So an athlete that wants to be the best athlete that they possibly can, what do they have to do? What do they need to do to be successful? Maybe talk with your family, maybe with a brother or sister, maybe jot some things down on what you think an athlete might need to be successful. Here's some of my ideas. I thought you might need to be determined, show determination, have a growth mindset, a good work ethic, be willing to practice, having the correct attitude. Now, I'd like to share now a little poem, a little story that I'm sure many of you have heard before about two athletes. And these two athletes had very different attitudes. One of them had a good attitude, one of them, it wasn't so good. Let me just remind you of this story. Hare was proud, he boasted. I'm better than the rest. I always get a prize, come top in every test. He had few friends, always drove them away. He had to win at any cost. It's rather sad to say. Tortoise was very timid, yet always tried his best, and even though he worked so hard, came far behind the rest. In spite of this, he'd loads of friends, was always full of fun. He never said a hurtful word, was kind to everyone. When sports day came, a race began. They all stood on the line. The rain poured down, 'twas very cold, and Hare began to whine. Tortoise, though, said nothing. As usual, he tried and tried. Soon he reached the winning post. Hare's victory he denied. At last someone had beaten Hare. Tortoise hadn't wasted time. Hare, so busy moaning, hadn't seen him cross the line. Tortoise was a hero, and he at last was praised, while Hare, who'd lost the race, was totally amazed. Tortoise, ever thoughtful, felt sorry for the Hare and held out a hand forgivingly, his friendship to declare. Hare now understood he wouldn't get the praise, and Tortoise had revealed to him the error of his ways. Tortoise had learnt that plodding on would help to see him through. So we should learn to do our best in all we say and do. Have a think about the Hare and the tortoise. The Hare, who always would do anything to come first, he wasn't very friendly, but the tortoise that didn't give up. He kept going on, he showed resilience, and he kept going. Can you think of a time when you've ever acted like the Hare or the tortoise? What kind of attitude do you think that we need to have to get our goals and dreams? Have a think now about that. What kind of attitude do you think we need to be able to reach our goals and dreams? Now that's the end of our assembly today. Hopefully you're thinking about the kinds of qualities that you should have to be able to achieve your dreams and goals. On the screen here, you might see another couple of YouTube videos that you can watch that show people that didn't give up, that tried hard. I hope that you've enjoyed watching the assembly today. I hope you're all keeping safe and well, and hope to see you all soon. Take care.